The Arizona heat shimmered off the cracked highway as Jake wiped grease from his hands, staring at the empty road. His garage, a battered metal shack with a flickering neon sign, stood alone in the dust. Business was slow, money was worse, and the future? A joke. He had nothing, except his skills and a heart too stubborn to quit. Then, the roar of an engine shattered the silence. A sleek black motorcycle wobbled to a stop in front of him. The rider, a woman dressed in a worn leather jacket and dark jeans, swung her leg off and yanked off her helmet. Long, sun-streaked hair tumbled out, but her face remained hidden behind oversized sunglasses. She sighed, running a hand through her tangled hair. "Bike's acting up. I think the engine's overheating." Jake didn't ask questions. He knelt beside the machine, fingers gliding over the metal, his mind already diagnosing the issue. "Yeah, looks like a leak. I can patch it up." She crossed her arms. "How much?" Jake glanced up, noticing her boots, scuffed but expensive. Something about her screamed that she did not belong here. But stranded was stranded, and he never overcharged the desperate. "Whatever you can afford," he said simply. The woman's lips parted slightly, as if surprised. Then she nodded. "Fair enough." As Jake worked, sweat trickling down his neck, he felt her watching, not just casually, studying him, measuring him. It was unsettling. "You run this place alone?" she asked. "Yeah," Jake muttered, tightening a bolt. "Had bigger dreams once. Life had other plans." A long pause. Then she said, "You seem honest." Jake smirked. "That's supposed to be rare." The woman didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out a small water bottle, took a sip, then offered it to him. Jake hesitated, then took it. Their fingers brushed, just for a second. A strange feeling crawled up his spine. Who was this woman? Jake tightened the last bolt, wiped his hands on a rag, and stood up. "That should hold for now," he said, "but you'll need a full repair soon." The woman slid her sunglasses up onto her head, revealing sharp green eyes that locked onto his. There was something about her gaze, like she was looking through him, reading his soul. Jake felt a strange unease, but he brushed it off. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a crisp $100 bill. "For your trouble," Jake shook his head. "Too much. I said pay what you can." She raised an eyebrow. "And I can pay this." Jake hesitated, then took only 20. "This'll do." For a moment, silence stretched between them. The woman smirked. "You always refuse free money?" "Only when I didn't earn it," Jake replied, folding the bill into his pocket. The woman studied him again, then exhaled. "You are an interesting guy, Jake." His muscles tensed. "I never told you my name." A flicker of amusement crossed her face. "It's on your shirt." She pointed at the grease-stained patch stitched onto his chest. Jake felt stupid. He had been so caught up in her presence, he had not realized something so obvious. He chuckled, shaking his head. "Guess I'm not as sharp as I thought." The woman gave him a half smile, then turned toward her bike. She swung her leg over, but before starting the engine, she glanced back. "Do you ever feel like you are stuck?" Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" "Like life has you trapped. No matter how hard you work, you are just stuck." The words hit Jake harder than he expected. He ran a hand through his messy hair. "Yeah, every day." The woman nodded, as if she understood. Then, without another word, she pulled on her helmet, started the bike, and sped off down the highway, a trail of dust in her wake. Jake stood there for a long time, staring at the empty road. Something about that conversation unsettled him, but he could not explain why. 3 days passed. Jake had almost forgotten about the biker when a sleek black car, tinted windows and polished to perfection, pulled up in front of his garage. A man in a sharp suit stepped out, adjusting his gold watch. "Are you Jake Carter?" Jake wiped his hands on his jeans, narrowing his eyes. "Who's asking?" The man pulled out a business card and handed it over. Jake glanced down, his stomach twisting. The name printed in gold letters was one he had seen before, on television, in magazines, in stories about billionaires. Victoria Langley. Jake's heart pounded. The woman from the bike. The man in the suit gave a slight smile. "Miss Langley would like to see you." Jake's fingers tightened around the business card. The name shimmered under the sunlight. Victoria Langley. He had heard of her before. Billionaire, tech genius, the kind of person whose life had nothing in common with his. He swallowed hard and looked back at the man in the suit. "Why does she want to see me?" The man smirked slightly, as if he knew something Jake did not. "That is for her to explain." He gestured toward the sleek black car. "Shall we?" Jake's instinct screamed no. Rich people did not just track down random mechanics for fun. But something about Victoria's words, the way she had studied him, the way she had asked if he felt stuck, lingered in his mind. After a long pause, he exhaled. "All right." The moment he slid into the leather seats, he knew he was in a different world. The car smelled like expensive cologne and opportunity. The driver barely spared him a glance before pulling away, the garage vanishing behind a cloud of dust. 30 minutes later, they pulled up to something that did not belong in the Arizona desert. A mansion. Tall iron gates slid open as the car approached, revealing a modern estate surrounded by endless glass windows and sculpted gardens. Jake's jaw clenched. He had spent his life fixing broken things. This place looked like it had never known struggle. The car stopped in front of the grand entrance, and before Jake could question anything, the door swung open. Victoria stood there, out of her dusty biker clothes. Now, she wore a sleek white dress, her hair smooth, her sunglasses gone. Without the disguise of the open road, she looked every bit the billionaire he had seen in magazines. Jake hesitated before stepping out. "You clean up well." Victoria smirked. "You look nervous." Jake shoved his hands in his pockets. "I don't usually get invited to places like this." She studied him again, the same way she had at his garage. "Come inside," she said. Jake followed her through the mansion, every step making him feel more like an outsider. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, priceless art. It was another world. Finally, they entered a lounge overlooking a vast backyard with an infinity pool that seemed to stretch into the sky. Victoria turned to him. "You are wondering why you are here," she said. Jake crossed his arms. "You could say that." She took a deep breath, then looked him straight in the eye. "I have more money than I will ever need, but I do not trust people. Everyone around me wants something, and I am tired of it." Jake stayed silent, waiting. "I wanted to see if I could find someone who is different," she continued. "Someone honest, someone real." She tilted her head. "And I think I found that in you." Jake frowned. "What exactly are you saying?" A slow smile spread across her lips. "I want to make you an offer, one that could change your life forever." Jake's pulse pounded in his ears. An offer? From a billionaire? He should have laughed, should have walked away, but something about the way Victoria looked at him made it impossible. This was not some rich woman playing games. She was serious. He leaned against the marble counter, arms crossed. "What kind of offer?" Victoria stepped closer, her green eyes locked onto his. "I want to see if someone like you, someone honest, someone real, can fit into my world." Jake frowned. "Fit into your world? What does that even mean?" She smirked. "It means I want you to spend time with me. No contracts, no obligations. Just you and me. If you hate it, you walk away. But if you don't..." She let the sentence hang, her meaning clear. Jake let out a breath. "So, let me get this straight. You came to my garage, let me fix your bike, and now you are offering me, what, a chance to date you?" Victoria chuckled, shaking her head. "I am offering you a chance to step into something bigger than yourself. And maybe, along the way, we figure out if we belong in each other's worlds." Jake should have said no. His life was small, predictable. He fixed things. That was what he did. But staring at Victoria, at the way she looked at him, not like a poor mechanic, but like a person, he realized something. He was tired of being stuck. He ran a hand through his hair, sighing. "All right, but do not expect me to change who I am." Victoria grinned. "Good. I wouldn't want you to." The next few weeks passed in a blur. One moment, Jake was fixing engines in the Arizona heat. The next, he was stepping into a private jet. Victoria showed him her world, gala events, business meetings, extravagant trips. But she never asked him to be anything other than himself, and that was the strangest part. Everyone around her played a role, smiled too wide, spoke too carefully. But Victoria did not. With Jake, she was just herself. One night, on a private balcony overlooking the city skyline, she turned to him. "Do you regret saying yes?" Jake exhaled. "Number." "But I don't belong here." Victoria tilted her head. "Why not?" He shrugged. "This is not my world. I don't wear suits. I don't know which fork to use at fancy dinners. I fix things. That is all I know." Victoria stepped closer, her voice softer. "Maybe I don't want someone who fits into this world. Maybe I want someone who reminds me what is real." Jake searched her face. He had seen it all now. The power, the money, the loneliness. And for the first time he realized she was just as stuck as he had been. Slowly, he reached for her hand. "Then maybe we fix each other." A small, genuine smile touched her lips, and for the first time in a long time, Jake did not feel like a poor mechanic. He just felt like a man who had finally found his road,